they on the other side. Oh well, fuck them, dog. We gon' see how hard they ride. I get racks to go outside, and I split it with the guys. We up on the other.
YouTube, what is going on? Hope everybody is having a fantastic day. It has been a hot minute since I made a video. Just been busy with life stuff, didn't really focus on YouTube too much, but I'm back now to kind of catch you guys up. I have been playing a lot of My Hero Ultra Rumble, very much enjoying this game, and looking forward to Naruto Storm Connections when it drops, coming up soon. 17 days, 21 days or so? So looking forward to that. All things aside though, I've been playing a lot of this game, watching it a lot, and I very much enjoy it, and I'm going to be doing my tier list. Keep in mind, this is just my opinion, okay? So if you disagree with any placements or anything, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'm always changing this all the time, but this is just how I feel about the game right now. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and hop into it. Our first character that we have here is All Might. And I'm going to go ahead and put him in the A tier. I think All Might is a great character. I think he's got great movement, some of the best movement in the game. He has that, his special ability, his jump skill takes him so high. He has his, his beta quirk that lets him do the dash, and he can do that twice, so that gives him even more movement. He has the Gamma quirk, which is the tornado, which gives him a lot of iframes. It can be very good in certain matchups, like against Mount Lady or something like that. Just having iframes and reflecting projectiles is nice. And then his damage is pretty good on his alpha, and it does splash damage as well. So if you don't get a direct hit, you'll still get some splash damage. I think All Might is a very solid character, and I would put him in A tier. Next up, we have Bakugo. I think this is definitely an S tier character. I don't think anybody debates that. He was nerfed a little bit, so I don't think he's going to be the very top of S tier. That belongs to another character. But I think he is still S tier nonetheless. He has great damage with his grenades. And even with his alpha, he can still do great damage comboing that with his grenades. He can fly twice, which is pretty insane. Just a great character. I don't think I need to explain too much about Bakugo. Moving on next here, we have Kendo. I'm going to put Kendo here in the C tier. Let me go ahead and label these. I think S tier is going to be the best character in the game. I think A tier are just great characters. I think B tier are good characters. I think C is just okay characters, and I think D is bad, and there's only one character that's in bad, but we'll get to that. But I think Kendo is an okay character. I think if you have a good Kendo on your team, she can play a very supportive role. Get behind some heavy damage doers, put up a shield for them. That can be nice. Her clap can do a lot of damage. So she's not, I wouldn't say she's bad. I'd just say she's an okay character. So I would put her there in the C tier. Obviously, she lacks the range. You can do her melee combo into her rocks. The clap does a lot of damage, and the shield can be situationally pretty strong if you have a good Kendo supporting your team. So I'll keep her in the C tier. Moving on to Cementos, I think this might be my first maybe hot take of the tier list. I'm actually going to put him here in the B tier, in the good tier. I don't think he's quite A tier, and it's weird to rank this character because here's why. If you're talking like a competitive setting, right, where it's just trying to win, you're on comms with your team, I think Cementos is very good. I would probably say he's A tier in that situation. However, if we're talking the only meta that we know right now, which is damage and kills, right? Because that's the only meta we have right now, ranked matches. I think I would just put him in the B tier. I think he is a good character. But I think in terms of getting damage and getting kills, you can struggle a little bit doing that with him. He can kind of send enemies like flying around when he's trying to KO them. Also, he does have an insta-res, but opponents can a lot of times just go inside the box and fuck up whoever you just insta-resed. Not saying that it's bad, but it is a weakness of it compared to somebody like Froppy or somebody like Ibarra, where that's not an issue at all. So I think he is a solid B tier character, at least in the current meta that we have now, which is ranked match, which is damage, which is kills. Moving on to Dabi, I'm actually going to be putting him in the C tier. I think this is pretty widely accepted, not too surprising. His alpha quirk is just very easy to dodge. You can just dodge back and forth, and it's very difficult for it to hit you because the projectiles are slow. He does have the Ring of Fire, but a lot of characters can just fly over it. It doesn't really deal that much damage anyways. I think he really excels in areas like Typhoon Zone, areas like Fire Zone, where you kind of have to force people to walk into your traps, but other than that, he's not that good. So I'm gonna put him here in the C tier. I think a good Kendo will actually provide more value to a team. And I think Dobby's kit really does need to be reworked because I think it's just the way you have to play him, I just don't think is very viable. Moving on to Deku, I'm gonna put him in the A tier. Might be a little bit of a hot take. I actually think All Might is a slightly better version of Deku after Deku's nerfs. Obviously Deku has, the alpha skill, has very long range, goes farther than somebody like Bakugo. Pretty sure it goes further than Todoroki as well, but it might be the same distance. I know it goes further than Bakugo. So his range is really good. His damage was nerfed the most heavily out of the three shooters, Bakugo, Todoroki, and Deku. Deku's damage was nerfed the most. He has the R skill, which can be situationally good. You have to be careful though, because if you just get like shot in the back, you're not gonna get that insta-res off. But in situations, you can make it work, even if it may be more often not a good situation to do so. But All Might also has that same exact thing, and he has the jump on top of that. I think Deku's alpha is very good. His kick, it's good for movement, but again, All Might has two of his beta ability of that movement quirk. And then All Might has that tornado. And Deku has the whip, which at level 9 he gets 2 whips. Does take a while to get those 2 whips. I just think overall, in terms of damage, in terms of movement, I think All Might's kit is just slightly better. But I think Deku is still a great character. And we actually got a tweet today saying that Deku is the number 4 most damaging or most kills character from the official My Hero account. So we know that much. I think Kirishima was number 5. I'm curious to see what the top 3 are. It's probably like Bakugo at number 1, maybe Froppy at 2, and Todoroki at 3, but I'm not sure. We'll have to see when that comes out. Moving on to Denki. I'm going to go ahead and put him here in the B tier and the good tier. I think Denki is pretty underrated. He has TODs, and a good Denki can really trap people. Inside the lightning, can really do a lot of damage. I guess his only downside is his range really isn't the best. He has pretty short range even on his alpha quirk. He has, I think it's his beta quirk that is like a little dash you can use for movement, but it's not really the best movement. So in terms of movement and range, he's not really the best at that, but if you get caught in the Denki crossfire, he can definitely just shred your HP, and a good Denki can be pretty solid. So I'll put him there in the B tier. I do think he's probably lower B compared to some of the other characters on this list. Next up, we have Froppy, the best character in the game. I don't think people are really debating that right now after Bakugo's nerfs. Her damage is absolutely insane that she can do with a character of her mobility, a speed type character doing as much damage as she does. Very hard to catch her. She can turn invisible, turn off auto aim if you're on console, just be really annoying. Yeah, she can just engage and disengage, be very hard to catch and do a lot of damage, and has an instant res, the best res in the game. So I definitely think this character is top 1, and I don't really think it's a debate right now in this current meta. Moving on to Ibarra, the, class rep himself. I'm going to go ahead and put him in the A tier. I do think it is probably a lower A, but I still think he's a very solid character. He can definitely pick off one person at a time in a team, and he's the equivalent of a gnat. He's just very annoying. He will engage you, he will disengage, be very difficult to catch. He has the res that's really good because he can run very fast. He has to obviously be careful to get hit. It's not as good as somebody like Froppy's, and honestly I think Ibarra's might be even a little better. But he's essentially got a faster version of what Deku and All Might have. And the fact that they buffed him and buffed his cooldown so his skills come back much quicker, and he has that armored kick where he can just go through things and just kick you. A lot of times his melee attacks will just knock you back, he'll just run around and circle you, and Idas, I swear to god, Idas are the thirstiest players on this planet. Like, there is nobody who will thirst you harder than an Ida for some reason. I don't know why. But I think he is a great character in this current meta, and I'm going to go ahead and put him in A tier. I guess downsides to Ida, he does kind of have to be in a melee range to really do damage to you, but he can get in and out quickly, which can help mitigate that. I do think there is one better melee character in the game, better than Ida though, but we will get to that when we get to that. Moving on, we have the only character in the bad tier, and that is going to be Mr. Compress. This character is not good. Okay, I'll look on YouTube, I'll see some tier lists, they'll have him in A tier, and I'm gonna throw up. This character is not good, okay? I'm sorry. His reflect is not good, because a good player will know not to shoot him when he's reflecting. You can just come up, get meleeed, get fucked. Like, so it's just not good against a good player. His escape, it's very stiff, and you can actually be hit out of your escape. You can be Todoroki isolated out of your escape. You can be hit. You can just be hit when you're trying to escape. So it doesn't really do anything. There's that pause before he actually escapes. The escape's not that good. His alpha skill, it's just clutter. It doesn't have any sort of good aim. It doesn't have really the best range at all. Like, he's just not a good character. I definitely think he needs to be buffed. And then he has a skill where he can put someone in his pocket. That could be cool in the storm, but I just think overall, he's definitely the worst character in the game, unfortunately. Moving on, we have Mountain Lady. I think it's pretty debatable whether she is, like, good or great. I put her here, personally, at the top of the good tier. I think she can have situations where she is extremely good, but I think outside of her getting big, she's pretty mid. Her alpha range is really not good at all. She has a stomp, but you have to be super close range for it. Her kick is nice because you get 2 of them at level 1 now, so that's cool. I think that is pretty nice. But when she's not big, she's pretty mid. When she does get big, depending on the situation, you could just become a bigger target and just get focused, and that sucks. But if you use Mount Lady and get big with her in a situation that calls for it, you can 3v1 with this character. This character can be very strong, like final circle. She can go crazy in the end game. You can time her, kind of like you can with Kirishima. You can time her to where it is very difficult for your opponent to escape her because they'll just get hit as soon as they try to get up. And she can definitely take on 3v1s when the situation calls for it. So I think she is underrated to a lot of people. I think she's a very good character, but I do think without her giant form, she is pretty mid. Moving on, we have Uraraka. I've seen some tier lists assuming that she is fixed. For this tier list, I am not going to be doing that. I'll just update my tier list when she is fixed. I was really hoping she would be fixed in this last patch, but she wasn't. But I'm going to go ahead and put her in the great tier right below Deku here. I think if she gets her grapple fixed, she could definitely be an S tier character. Her movement is the best in the game, hands down. She can go across half the entire map without touching the ground, which is absolutely insane. She can just dip out of situations when she needs to. And her card, she turns into her Beyblade, she spins, she knocks everybody in the vicinity. And you can really time that as well to where it's difficult for your opponent to get out of it if they're getting up off the ground. You can use her gravity to cancel people out of her skills, which is pretty good. But just the fact that she could just move out, you can't catch her, she can come back, spin a car in her face, move out, and she can just keep doing that. She's a very strong character. I do think with the bug, I wouldn't put her, in my opinion, over Deku with how buggy the grapple can be for her. But I do think when it's fixed, she definitely has the potential to be an S tier character. Moving on here to Shigaraki. I'm going to put Shigaraki here in the good tier. I think him and Denki are actually pretty close. I might put him above Denki, but I can understand people putting Denki above him. Shigaraki, people don't know this, I feel like. Shigaraki has better range than Denki, and it's not close. Like, Shigaraki's alpha scale actually goes really fucking far for no reason. I don't know if they buffed it at some point. I know they buffed Shigaraki and when they did fixes, because they gave him like an extra charge, I think, on his alpha, but I don't think they increased the range on it, but it goes so far. It goes really fucking far, really fast. So that's really good. Shigaraki's damage can be really good, especially in endgame. Shigaraki can be just devastating. The AoE attack, the grab attack damaging you for your green health instead of your shield can be pretty destructive. He has Collapse Hand, which can lower your defense and make him do even more damage. And then his Alpha Quirk can just shred your HP as well. And also he can just collapse buildings, which is pretty convenient in certain situations. I think him and Denki are pretty close. I guess Shigaraki's biggest drawback, he doesn't really have much mobility. He can't really do anything against the aerial assault. You can kind of use his grab to run away a little bit, but he's very grounded, and that's definitely his biggest weakness, I would say, in this meta. Moving on to Todoroki, I have him borderline S, tippy top of A tier. I don't quite put him along with Froppy and Bakugo. Todoroki's damage is like the best in the game. It's absolutely amazing, insane how much damage he does. His only drawback is just the lack of vertical movement. That can cause him to struggle in situations in like Fire Zone or Typhoon Zone, where characters like Froppy and Bakugo wouldn't. I definitely think Todoroki is a top tier character. I think he's top 3 in the game. I think the burn damage that he does, he also got nerfed the least out of Bakugo, Deku, and Todoroki. He got nerfed the least out of them. The burn damage that he does on top of how fast his fireballs fire, on top of his ice slide and chaining that together, you can just instantly just crack somebody's shield and just down them so fast with Todoroki. You get so much damage with him. He's very strong. He has the ice wall, which can be used as a defensive utility as well, albeit that's his least best skill. And then his triangle skill is pretty mid. You just get some free burn damage with it. It's not really the best. But his kit is amazing. His damage is amazing. He just lacks that vertical movement, which doesn't make me want to put him the same tier as Froppy and Bakugo, but he is borderline S. He's right there. His damage is insane. Moving on to Toga. I'm actually going to put her right here above Mount Lady in the good tier. I think Toga is very, very strong. Her transform is pretty insane because it resets cooldowns. So you can spam all the Toga skill, transform, spam all the skill whoever you transformed into, and say they have like a cooldown. Say you like transform into Ida, spam the skills, the reciprocal burst runs out, then you just transform back and you don't even have to deal with the end lag. So she can cancel out of end lag on attacks like that. If she ever copied a Denki, she could cancel out of his end lag too. Which is really solid. And then when she transforms back, she can spam all of her skills again. So she gets instantly reset. So I see a lot of people say like, oh, like, what if you accidentally like steal somebody who's all level 1s and you don't like that? Well, okay, you can just transform back and have all your skills back. Like, that's good. That's really good. I will say, with Toga, however, without the transform, she is pretty mid. Her knives are okay. They can rack up some damage. But you're mainly going to want to level her transform because that's the strongest thing about her. The fact she could allow for 2 Bakugos, 2 Frappies, 2 Todorokis on a team, destroying you at once is absolutely insane. This character's potential is absolutely insane. I will say, though, to transform, you do have to suck their blood, and a lot of times that does mean trading a little bit of damage to be able to get the blood suck off. And like I said, without the transform, she is pretty mid. So I have her at the very top, like borderline great tier, at the very top of good is where I have Toga. I can understand putting her in the A tier as well because she's pretty good. Her downsides, you have to trade damage to transform, and without it, she can be pretty mid. Moving on to Kirishima, I believe he is the best melee character in the game. He is absolutely insane. He can do what Mount Lady can do with like the stomps, time it to where you can't really get up, and he can just punch you out of it. He can make it a very tight window for your opponent to escape if he's able to hit you once. His ground pound has huge AoE when you level it up. His beta skill has a big AoE too, the punch. He got the biggest buff in the patch. He now has 3 of his alpha abilities that can make him go pretty far. He also has 3 of the beta abilities, so he can have some aerial movement as well. Albeit his aerial movement is pretty slow because you have to wait for the punch at the end. He still has it, and he can chain it into his R2 to kind of make up for that. So he can chase some characters. For example, Todoroki, he just hard counters him. The only situations I think Kirishima can struggle is with some of the characters, in A and S tier that have movement and range. I think it can be a little difficult to maybe catch like an All Might or an Uraraka or a Froppy or a Bakugo or a Deku with Kirishima if they're kind of running away and just kind of trying to snipe you. But nonetheless, I think Kirishima is definitely the best melee character in the game. I think he's a very strong pick. And we saw, on the Twitter post today, he has number 5 in the most kills in the game so far. Deku was 4. We'll have to see who the top 3 were. But speaking of the number 3, we have 3 characters left here on our tier list. And I'm going to go with Momo here. It might be a little bit of a hot take, but I'm going to put Momo here in the good tier. I'm going to put her right below Mount Lady, actually. I think Momo is one of those characters that initially people thought is really, really strong, but kind of realizes over time that she's not that strong. And what I mean by that is with her shield, you can kind of just dodge roll into it, and once you get used to it, it's pretty easy to dodge her shield, especially if your character has any sort of movements. Her alpha ability, it does have some shock waves, but it doesn't go very far. So like, you kind of want to play against a Momo like you play against a Kirishima. Like Kirishima more so, you have to really try to keep your distance or he will fuck you up. But with Momo, if you really just keep your distance, she really can't do too much to you. Like, she has the cannons for long range, but those are stationary, so those can be dodged. I think the cannons can be very good in, like, endgame, though. But because they are stationary, they do have some good range, too. I think they're solid, but I really don't think they're the best, because you can't really aim them like you could with, like, a Todoroki or a Bakugo, a Deku, or All Might or so. I think her shield is pretty easy to dodge when you get used to it. And I think if you just keep your distance, she can be more annoying than anything else, really. So I'm going to put her, I think she's a good character. I'm just going to put her here in the good tier. I think she does kind of struggle a bit with trying to run away. She does have iframes on the shield. When she's running away, she can't be hit from the back, which doesn't make any sense. So that's pretty good. But if a team is really thirsty enough, they can just chase you down, wait till the shield's done, and kill you. You can also use the stationary shield to protect yourself from projectiles. Bakugo can shoot through it though, and a lot of characters with aerial mobility or just better mobility in general can just go around and catch you. So I think Momo is a good character, but I don't think she is a great character. Moving on, we have 2 characters left in the list. We have Ibarra. I'm actually going to put her right here. I think it's debatable if she is better or worse than Kendo. She does have some nice range. You do have to aim down sights to get more range with her. She does have some nice range with her R2, and her R2 has the unique property to where she can actually knock... I'm not sure if she knocks Kendo out of her shield, but I know she knocks Momo out of her shield. She might do the same for Kendo, I'm not sure. She can knock All Might out of his tornado. So she has unique attributes where she can do that, which is pretty good. Her other 2 skills, though, one of them... And another thing about her alpha skill, it can be kind of buggy, like if depending on the terrain. If you've ever played her before, you know what I mean. If there's like a certain terrain elevation, her alpha will just straight up, like go straight up for no reason and just miss. So it can feel very buggy with her alpha sometimes, depending on those situations. Her beta quirk, I believe that's the AoE attack. That quirk is pretty weird because it looks like it should have longer range when it really doesn't. There's situations where I feel like it should hit and it doesn't. But if you can get it off, it does have good AoE. Somewhat similar to Aizawa's skill. I think Aizawa might have a little bit more range on his though. And then her other quirk, which is the one where you can grab people, that one's a little tough because you have to be super close to the opponent, and a problem with Ibarra being super close to the opponent is she doesn't really have any mobility or any way to escape. So that can be a little tough, but if you can get it off, your teammates can take advantage of that and do a lot of damage. She also has probably the second best insta-res in the game behind Froppy, which is pretty good. So she has some range. You could say she's better than Kendo because of that range, and Kendo does not have that range. I think they're close, but I think Kendo, like, the support you could provide from a team, like, protecting some strong teammates so they can do some damage, and the clap damage that she has. You could say Ibarra is better than Kendo. I think this is pretty close. But I think they're around the same area there. Then we have Aizawa, unfortunately. Aizawa has a lot of potential, but he is very bugged right now. His alpha skill is great for movement, and his kicks are great for movement. Like, the recharge time on that, the way he can move is insane. Great movement character. Really good movement. However, his alpha skill is so bugged that he's just very unreliable. His damage is a little on the low side as well, especially with his alpha being as buggy as it is. I think if this character gets fixed, he definitely has the potential to move up a tier for sure. Maybe even at the highest level of play, maybe even he could be A tier, but I just don't think right now with how bugged he is. I think he's pretty bad right now. Unlike Kendo though, at least he does have mobility. So at least he does have that going for him, and it doesn't bug all the time, so you can get some damage off. But I think I would probably put him around here. The C tier is, I feel like Dabi I would definitely put at the bottom, just because how easy it is to avoid his kit. I could really see Kendo really anywhere here. I could really see that. But I think I might give it to Aizawa just because his mobility is just that much better. But I think he is definitely very mid and not the best right now. So yeah, this is my tier list. Give or take some positions. I could understand people putting Deku over All Might. I could understand Kendo, moving around towards that C tier a little bit. I can understand Kirishima being a little higher than he is. Just keep in mind, these are all my opinions, just what I think. So yeah, I'd love to hear what you guys think. If you guys think maybe a character should be higher ranked, maybe a character should be lower ranked, please let me know in the comments. I always want to improve my tier list as much as I can, but I also want to stay true to myself. I don't want to put a character in a certain spot just because people are telling me to if I don't really think that's the case. And everybody has different opinions, and that's okay. So I appreciate everybody's opinions. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts on this tier list. What you think about it. I'm constantly changing it all the time. In a week, it might be completely different, but I'll try to stay updated with the tier list as we get changes. I know we'll be getting some maintenance patches at some points. We'll be getting some more characters at some points. Or if I really feel that maybe I just need to do another one, I will. I know some people have done them weekly, but I don't know if I'll do it that often, but we'll see. But that is going to be it for me. This is my tier list in My Hero Ultra Rumble. Today is the 26th of October. It is my stepdad's birthday. I need to give him a call. I'm going to go do that right now while this video processes. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you would like to see more My Hero content, I am going to be starting up the YouTube channel again. Doing that, I'm going to be focusing on My Hero because I'm really enjoying that game. Until Connections comes out, then the focus is going to switch to Connections, because if you guys know me for Naruto, you know I'm going to be playing a lot of Connections. So, if you guys would like to watch me play My Hero live, go over to my Twitch. You can watch me play. I'm going to be streaming a lot of that. I've just been playing a lot of different games. Spider-Man just came out. Sonic Superstars just came out. There's a lot of games going on. But as I'm finishing those games up, I really do want to grind this before Connections comes out. I'm going to hit Ace Rank on PS5. Probably go hit Ace Rank on PC. By the time I do those things, it'll be close to Connections. And we'll be focusing on Naruto. But if you guys would like more My Hero Ultra Rumble content, please subscribe to the channel. And I really appreciate everybody who watched. Everybody who watched the full video and didn't just skip to the end to see what the list is. I appreciate you guys. Everybody, you mean a lot. Stay blessed. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.